welcome to Adaptation, where we talk about film adaptations and the original material they're based on. I'm Kendyl Bryant, and this week we are talking about a film that I watched so very many times in grad school, and of course the film it's based on, both of which are called Arthur. The story is about this super rich guy who is kind of an embarrassment to his upper crust family. His MO is just to have fun while throwing his money around and drinking large amounts of alcohol. And of course, because rich movie families love to dictate who their offspring marry, he's being forced to marry Susan, and if he doesn't do it, his family is going to disown him and leave him penniless. He's gonna go along with this family's plan until he comes across this girl from the poor side of town, and he is instantly fascinated with her. So he's conflicted about what he's gonna do, and at the last possible second, aka his wedding day, he decides that he is going to give up his money for her. But, so that it all ends happily, of course his family decides that they're not going to disown him because they wouldn't want a member of the family doing something embarrassing like, you know, taking the subway. And that's the basic plot from the 1981 film that starred Dudley Moore and Liza Minnelli. It was really well received at the time, winning Academy Awards for Best Supporting Actor and Best Original Song, and Golden Globes in those same categories, as well as Best Actor and Best Film in a Musical or Comedy. Obviously, comedy. I wish this was a musical. That'd be fantastic. Shit. Somebody make me that movie. Something that's really interesting about that dual supporting actor win for John Gielgud as Hobson is that originally he didn't actually want the role, didn't really like the script, but they paid him enough money so he did, and while filming he didn't really understand all of the jokes as he was saying them, and would frequently after takes ask if it was funny. But whatever he did, it worked. He was definitely the main reason that I laughed while watching it. And Hobson really is the heart of the story, at least that's what draws me to the 2011 version. There's a little less of the character in 1981, which was kind of a disappointment, and I didn't feel like he and Arthur were as close as quickly as in 2011. Apparently there was an alternate ending that they shot that focused more on Arthur and Hobson rather than Arthur and Linda, but Dudley Moore was against it. I gotta say, this is one of those situations where I really start to question my taste in movies and in comedy, because the 1981 version, it won all the awards. The remake completely bombed, and everything that I have seen on the internet is saying that the original is a comedy treasure, whereas the remake is basically trash. And I can't agree with that. I mean, I liked the original, I laughed, I enjoyed the banter, but there are parts that are more uncomfortable than funny, and although you could argue that there's some character growth in Arthur trying to give up his money, he ends the movie drunk, and there's no indication that he's going to go on being anything other than the giant child we've seen so far. So, I predict that in this universe, Linda leaves him in 6 months when she realizes that he's completely unreliable. Of course, I know that there's a sequel where that is not the plot. In fact, the plot is that they try to adopt a child, which seems insane, but, you know, movies. Which brings me to Arthur 2011, starring Russell Brand, Helen Mirren, and Greta Gerwig. I don't care what you say, I love this movie. The comedy hits all the right notes for me. It's definitely my kind of humor. Hobson and Arthur are bro-TP for the ages, and instead of Arthur learning nothing, he doesn't get the girl until he's cleaned himself up. Plus, the alcoholism is actually explained in Arthur's character and his family history. In the original, his family is pretty uncaring, but we see his relationship with him and his grandmother, and it doesn't seem to be without feeling. So we're basically left to believe that he acts this way because he can, I guess? In 2011, however, Arthur offhandedly explains his lifestyle when he's talking about his father's early death, and we see the blatant low expectations of his mother, so it gives his character a little bit more depth. And that creates more depth in his relationships. With Hobson, there's still the banter that lets us know that they're really close, but there's also a protectiveness on both sides that I think shines through a little bit better than it does in the original. And more depth in the romantic relationship too. I mean, in this one, I understand why Arthur and Naomi are a good fit. They both learn something from the other one. He learns to slow down and take pleasure in the simple things, and she learns to go after her dreams. Okay, it's cheesy, I know, I don't care, I love them, they're adorable. Whereas Linda from the original, I just don't understand why seeing her steal a tie instantly fascinates him. I mean, once their relationship gets going, I do see their shared humor, but there still doesn't seem to be much of a character arc. I mean, Arthur just gets what he wants. But that's just one woman's opinion. Let me know in the comments if you feel differently or if there's any other differences between the two films that you wish that I had talked about, and we can discuss it there. Make sure that you click those social media links in the info section and follow us everywhere, especially our podcast on iTunes. Until next time, find someone sitting alone and make them a sandwich.